Oh, sweet, thank you. Perfect. Ready? Yeah. Turn that off. All right. I'd like to welcome the Quicken Loans National Tournament host, Tiger Woods. Tiger, you've had a little layoff. If you want to kind of start off with where you are and your comeback, and then we'll have a few questions.
Well, I'm right here. So, no, it's been an interesting road. You know, this has been quite a tedious little process, but been one that I got to a point where I can play competitive golf again, and that's pretty exciting.
Okay, and then if you want to make a comment, you have a new sponsor here.
Yeah, Quicken Loans is our first-year sponsor here, and we've done very well over the years with this event. Since '07, we've raised $17 million here just for local communities here. We've opened up 3 learning centers here, which is pretty exciting, in Ward 6, 7, and obviously at Quantico Marine Base. 25 local Earlwood scholars now. Tonight, we're going down to the White House, Lindsay and I, and we're taking Darian Parker, who's an Earlwood scholar grad from Georgetown. So we've had some pretty exciting things, and we're looking forward to another great week. Just like our commitment to the military since the very beginning has always been the utmost of importance to me and my family, and this year's no exception to that. We're giving away 30,000 tickets to our servicemen and women and their families as well.
Okay, thank you. We have microphones on both sides. If you'd raise your hand, we'll get those around. You can start with Steve.
Tiger, in the past, whenever you're in a tournament, you've always said you expect to win.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your expectation this week? And if not, how different is that for you?
Expectations don't change. That's the ultimate goal. It's just that it's going to be a little bit harder this time. I just haven't had the amount of prep and reps that I would like, but I'm good enough to play, and I'm going to give it a go.
Okay, over here, Karen.
What do you say to the people who worry that you're coming back too soon, trying to come back from this where others have not?
Well, I think it all depends on obviously the person's healing capability, as well as the physios that they're involved in, as well as the surgeons. And I have great trainers, great physios, and they've been lockstep with my surgeon the entire time. And we have done all the protocols week after week. We're always on calls, chatting with one another, see what's the next step's going to be. As I alluded to when I first came here for the press conference, that we were, I was only chipping and putting, but that was going to be expanded, and we had a game plan for how we were going to do that, and we did it. And I've been able to play and hit balls and hit drivers and go out there and do whatever I want to do.
Okay, Barry.
Tiger, can you give us a little bit clearer idea of the timeline of what that progression was? When did you first take a full swing? When did you hit driver? What was that?
Well, the full swing depends what club you're talking about here. So yeah, the whole progression was putting first. Anybody who's had this procedure done, you can putt the next day. You hop right out of the recovery room, and literally you're okay to putt. But I wasn't allowed to bend over and pick the balls out of the holes. So what we did is, I kind of had a little creative idea, is that we had normal size holes in my backyard, and I just sand filled them. So I knew whether the putt went in or not, but I never would have to ever bend over and get balls out of the hole. And we did that for a couple months. Then it was chipping and pitching. And then we added basically about 10 yards every day to 2 days, depending on how I felt, how much inflammation was in the area. As I said, my physios and our surgeon were in lockstep with one another, open communication. And some days it was, hey, we'll just stay here for a couple days. Other days, hey, you can go ahead and progress the next day. And that's how it went to the point where I was out there hitting drivers a couple weeks ago. And then started playing golf. I wanted to knock off a little bit of rust on the range before I actually went out there and tried not to embarrass myself on a golf course. And I was able to do that, got some holes in, started feeling comfortable doing that. I think anyone who's had this procedure knows that probably the worst thing you do is sit. And sitting in a golf cart wasn't the most ideal circumstance. So sometimes I would ride on the back of the cart like Freddie does sometimes. You see Freddie on the back of a cart standing up. So I was able to do that a few times, and I was able to get in more holes because of that.
Okay. Doug?
What'd you shoot?
I broke 50 for 9 the first time, just like I was when I was 3. And so I'm sneaking up on it. My prime's coming up.
Was it? I wonder if, injury aside, I'm not talking so much what you had to recover from, but I wonder if you could talk about the kind of the how much you missed, anxiety, etc., sitting out for a couple majors in these few months compared with 11.
Both were very similar because I knew that I could never, at that point in time, I could not compete at this level, and so it didn't really bother me. As I got a little bit closer to feeling where I could compete, then I would start getting the itch to compete and play at this level. But I knew that I had to go through my own progression first, and that was, as I explained to Barry, that whole step, that whole process. And once I got to a point where I was playing golf, then knocking off some rust and playing, shaping shots, looking at holes, strategizing how to play them, things started coming back quickly. And lo and behold, here we are. I did. I watched a little bit of it, but also watched more World Cup than I did
All right. Let's go over here, Mark, on the
in
second.
golf.
Tiger, you've obviously had a lot of challenges over the years coming back from various injuries, the knee, the Achilles, and whatnot. Are there different elements to this coming back off of this? And if so, can you talk about those? And just as a follow-up, because you were able to do so much short game stuff early on, do you expect that to be a little sharper initially than your long game?
Well, this procedure let me go back. Pre-procedure, right before I went in, as I explained to you guys before, I wasn't able to function. I couldn't get out of bed. I just couldn't do any normal activities. When I blew out my knee and even had my Achilles problems, I could still do things. I would still be able to function. But this was different. When anyone who's had any kind of nerve impingement, it's no joke. And that part was relieved as soon as I got out of the surgery. That nerve impingement, that pain that I was feeling, going down my leg was gone. And I've heard numerous people talk about it, and I've had people come up to me and say they've had the same procedure, and it was like amazing, the relief, like they got their life back. And that's basically how I felt. I was able to do things and normal activities I took for granted. What was the second part? Oh, short game? Yeah. Yeah, that I feel very sharp with to a certain extent. Living in Florida, we don't have ryegrass rough, so not at least not this time of year. So I had Bermuda rough grown in my backyard, and I was practicing out of that, but that's totally different than chipping out of this stuff. My shots off of tight lies are fine. My putting feels good. I just got to get used to chipping out of this type of grass and the techniques that I've used and have employed in the past.
Okay, we'll go with Todd Lewis and then Bob Holtzman.
Hey, Tiger, with your progression and your recovery playing here this week, one can assume you're going to play the Open Championship. Has that been determined, or is this week, part of that decision process?
Well, I'm actually probably ahead of schedule than everyone thought I would be at. We all thought that it was going to be the British Open would be my first event back. But I healed fast. As I said, I've had great trainers and great physios help me every day with soft tissue work and the cold baths, which are no fun, but you got to do it. And when you get treatment all the time, it's amazing what you can do. And also nutritionally, make sure I eat perfect. Anti-inflammatory meals, all the different things I need to do to get back. People take it's a normality in other sports. if you play football, hockey, or any other sport, this is just common. But I think in the golfing world, look at most of the physiques, that's not really that common. But having friends who are in other sports, it does help, what they went through and what they've done and what their protocols are for their teams. And, here we are. Do I expect to? Yeah. I'm just trying to get into playoffs somehow.
All right, Bob?
Tiger, at one point you mentioned the possibility of talking with Sean about maybe reworking your swing to protect your back.
Yep.
Will your game look any different when we see you out there?
We made a few tweaks here and there, but nothing major. Nothing that probably you observe with the physical eye. We look at it on video, and what I'm feeling I'm doing, it looks the same as it did before. I probably may not go at it as hard on all shots. I was joking with, Cookie. Cookie just came back from breaking his back, and he was actually hitting it further than I was. So that's not good. So when I'm out there pumping 8 irons 135, that's all I had. That was frustrating there for a little while, but things have turned around, and I've got my numbers back. And this week especially, since it's going to be warm all week, I won't have any problem staying loose.
Okay, back over here, right in the front.
Tiger, your recovery now these past couple months, in 2011, you're 38 years old. Have you begun to think about your future in golf, not from a retirement aspect necessarily, but from just with this event, with the foundation, just maybe as an ambassador to golf, and maybe what your plans might be, kind of spreading your support for the sport and teaching the younger people the sport going forward?
Yeah, well, we have three golf events that we have. We have our World Challenge, we run the Deutsche Bank, and we have this event, the Quicken Loans. So we're involved in golf, and we're involved in all the local charities in these specific markets. But our foundation is not golf-based. Golf is a vehicle for us to show the world and how involved we are in education. And that is our primary focus. And right now we're in the works. We just hired our new CEO, Rick Singer, and we're involved in talks of taking what we're trying to do, what we have done in the past domestically, internationally, and trying to influence other countries. So we're excited about our immediate future with the foundation. As far as my ambassador role in these events will still be the same. I'll still be, playing the events. I'll still be doing speaking engagements and all the different things that I do at these specific events. But our main primary focus is to grow the foundation and our educational capacities, not just here domestically, but internationally.
Okay, good. Let's go right in the back here.
Tiger, there have been so many young guys that have had such success this year, and to a man, they all say they've been inspired by you. What is it like to look at a rising generation that you've helped create? And as a follow-up, is there any irony in the fact that this thing that you've spawned is a little bit what's making it more difficult for you to win?
I feel old. I'm sorry if the name escapes me. That the Chinese kid who qualified for the Masters last year. He was
Tian.
Yeah, he was born after I won the tournament. I mean, that's just not cool, So, that's what's coming. The next generation, and they're taller, bigger, they're more physical, just like in all sports across the board. And golf is no exception. You look at these kids in college; all the long hitters are 6'2" to 6'4". They're just big guys, and they can move it out there. But the difference is, as you age and as I have aged, I can't play the way I used to. I was number 2 in driving distance for a number of years, only behind Daly. Now, if you average over 300 yards, I don't think you're in the top 10. It's changed, dramatically. But just like MJ, I got a fadeaway now. So I've had to rely on different parts of my game and strategy and understanding how course management skills have improved, and where to miss it, how to miss it, and then obviously the amount of shots that I've learned over the years, not just from my own trial and error, but also from older players that I've talked to, and it's allowed me to be as consistent as I have been over the course of my career.
Okay, Robert.
Hey, Tiger, if this wasn't the tournament that benefited your foundation, do you think you would have come back this week? And secondly, is there any danger that the doctors may have told you about, coming back too early? And
if this wasn't the foundation and our impact of what we can have with kids, I probably would not. As I said, our goal was the British Open, and I healed extremely fast thanks to my physios and my nutrition and all the different things that we did and the protocols and the MRIs and all the different steps that we've done along the way have allowed me to get to this point. And also, you have to do all these tedious strengthening exercises. And, I remember some of the guys who've had the procedure done have had it in other sports. I said how important it is to have strong glutes and strong abs going into a strong core going into the procedure, because obviously muscle has memory, and that's one of the reasons why I was able to bounce back fast. I told you guys, and when I was here for the last press conference here, and that when they went in, I have 0 arthritic changes in my lower back, and that is not only shocking to me, but shocking to my docs as well. All the different strengthening exercises that I have done throughout the years have really paid off, and have allowed me to get back quicker and get back to this point.
And is there some percentage of a possible risk that you're taking by coming back early and not waiting for another few weeks or a month or whatever?
No, obviously I'm going to get stronger as time goes on, but it's the risk is minimal, and just like it is with every round we play, you can hit it behind a tree root and damage something, and awkward lies. There's little knick-knack things that have happened to all of us who play at this level, and I'm no different in that regard.
Okay, we can go right on this side.
Yeah. Tiger, in the past, you've tried every kind of trouble shot known to man and invented some that nobody's ever seen before. Do you think you'll take those kind of shots because of risk? It's one thing. And the second thing is, have you listened to your body enough in the past when it started to warn you of things, and how will you treat that issue in the future?
No, I shouldn't have any issue because I'm going to hit every fairway, hit every green, and I won't have a single problem. No, but as far as listening to my body, that's one thing I have learned stubbornly over the years, is that I have to do this, and particularly with this injury, this is very different than pushing through, my knee injuries in the past. I could play through it. I just couldn't play through this. Nerve impingement is, as I said, it's no joke. And as I said with Barry here, is that there are days when I go out there and I would practice, and you know what, it's just not quite right. Let's just ice it. Let's just get away from it, and let's get treated, reevaluate. Let's come back the next day, and let's see where we are. Next day, felt great. Can we go back another 10 yards and hit 10 yards further? Yeah, we can. Perfect. But if I wouldn't have listened to my body, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And as you know, in the past, I probably would have pushed through it and set myself back, and then kept pushing harder and harder and harder until stuff breaks.
Good. Okay. Hank, go ahead.
Tiger, in the past, coming back from your injuries, surgeries, you always said that once you were healthy, the best thing was it allowed you to practice more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, when the back spasm started back before the Barclays last
Mm-hmm.
year, did that force you to cut back your practice
Absolutely.
schedule?
Absolutely. I was not able to practice. I was not able to spend the time out there. I was not able to do the work that I'm accustomed to doing. I'd always much rather practice than go out there and play 36 holes with my buddies and do that nature. I like to do a lot of work, and I wasn't able to do that. And spent a lot of time trying to chip and putt, but actually that was the worst thing for me to do because I was more bent over there. And the least problem I had was actually driving the golf ball. I remember Freddie when he was at Sherwood, and he would warm up with his 5-wood. It was his first club he'd warm up with because he couldn't bend over hit a sand wedge yet. And I got to that point where I'd much rather just tee up drivers and hit drivers and then work my way back down the bag the other way. But that's not the case now. So I'm back to my normal warm-up routines, normal practice routines, and no issues.
Over here with Rex and then Doug.
Tiger, you talked last month at Media Day about getting your explosiveness back. When did that happen?
It still hasn't happened. Not to where that I'm. Not to the level that I'm used to. Not to the level that I'm used to being that explosive. That's going to come in time. We haven't done any explosive lifts of that I'm used to doing. So that will happen over time.
Okay. Over here, Dougie.
You're pain-free?
Yeah.
I assume. When's the last time you were that way or felt this good?
Other than the headache of coming in here. You like that? It's just because you shaved off this. Good point. Though it's been a very, very long time. Probably a good 2 years since I've felt this way because I had the Achilles and then that went away, and then I started getting this back thing. But the thing is initially with my back, it was week to week. I'd have good weeks where I felt fantastic. And those were the weeks I actually played well last year. I won 5 times last year. And then there were weeks where, I just couldn't move. What is going on here? And then it started progressively deteriorating from there. And got to a point where I had to pull out of an event and then struggle through my last round I played in. Yeah.
Was there something before that? And if that was the first one, is it all connected, even though it might not have been the same thing? Kind of do a dot-to-dot type deal?
Yeah, if you look back on it, it was probably around that time though when it started happening. But as I said, the symptoms would just go away. Then I was back to hitting practice balls all day, chipping and putting and playing golf all day, and had no issues. And then it would spring up again. I didn't know why. My physio would treat and get me right back to where I needed to be, and then off I go again. But the frequency it started happening at a rate that it forced me to do what I had to do. And towards the end of last year, you saw me go to my knees at Barclays, yeah.
Okay. You can go right here in the front.
Tiger, could you speak a little bit to what you think of how Jordan Spieth has been playing lately?
He's been playing great. For a person to have come out of college and done this well this fast, and it's been as consistent. Normally when you're young, you come out and you have your weeks from here to there, and you may have 2-3 good weeks a year, maybe more. It just seems like he's having one every week. He's having a top 10. It just seems like every week he's always up there somewhere. And for him to qualify for the President's Cup and the Tour Championship, right out of the hopper, and that was pretty impressive.
Okay, we have time for 2 quick ones. Karen?
Tiger, how many times have you been to the White House, and does it ever get old for you? What is that experience like?
I've been there several times, and it's always an interesting experience. There's umpteen security. Obviously, there's cameras when you don't know where there's cameras, and everything's so well lit. I got a chance to go in the Oval Office, and that was a pretty neat experience. And I remember talking to President Obama, and he wanted to talk a little bit about some golf and blah blah blah, and we started talking about sports, and I see these other guys in the other room, and they're immaculately dressed. And I say, Mr. President, I think I better go. And he said, okay, well, I'd like you to meet my Joint Chiefs. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, I felt awful, but I'm holding up a Joint Chiefs staff meeting because he wanted to talk sports.
Last question, just right here.
Tiger, how much more patient are you now than you were 3 years ago, 6 years ago, and how does that factor into the comeback, into expectations or approach every day?
I think with that old adage, with age comes wisdom, and I have certainly become much more patient. I think especially with having 2 little ones, that has definitely taught me a lot of patience. And it has carried over into my golf on the golf course and as well as off. And that part of me has certainly changed over the years. I just remember all the early years on tour when I used to run 30 miles a week and just push it. No matter how hurt I was, I'd just go out there and still log in all the miles and do all the different things and still go out and play tournament golf. And I was winning, but didn't realize how much damage I was doing to my body at the time. But I have to now pick my spots when I can and can't push. Before, when you're young, I just pushed it all the time. But now I got to listen to my body, listen to my therapist, and then get treatment. When I was younger, I didn't need it. So my knee ached a little bit. So what? I just run more miles, and then it magically go away. Just get the endorphins going. But that's no longer the case.
Okay, thank you for your time today, Tiger.
Thanks,
Best
guys.
of luck on a great tournament.